Last question here before we kind of wrap this up. If there were other things that someone wanted to apply to improve their vagal nerve, they're listening to this and saying, all right, I get it. Like vagal nerve stimulation is really important. I could absolutely use this technology and maybe plan to. But what else can I do to help with the vagal nerve? What would be your advice?
Oh, there's so much. And so you don't have to have a physical product or electrical stim. And honestly, every person, it may not work for every single person. And we know that.
Right.
So meditation is one of the best ways to access and activate your vagus nerve. You do need to get into deep meditation, which you can pair that with breath work or separate from breath work. But those things, those are my two that I recommend the most often. Things, when people talk about gargling, I've heard that you have to gargle hard enough to almost gag. So that sounds really unpleasant to me. I don't really want to do it.
Let me just go ask you about that a little, because I actually know that there's a quantum information technology our clinic was exposed to. Basically, you would take some water, you gargle it, and we would stimulate with a laser the vagal nerve in the back while doing it. But what is that? Why the gargling? Because I actually don't even know. I'd have to ask one of the practitioners here what that is. Yeah, but why the gargling?
I think I honestly, because it's so off-putting to me, I haven't delved into it far enough, but I'm thinking it's close to the fact that if you're vibrating this area in the neck enough, that the gargling is helping with that, which is why they also say that humming or the om that you do during meditation or yoga, that those also activate the vagus nerve. So I think it's just that vibration in the neck area, which is where the two main trunks of the vagus come down.
Yeah, really interesting. I had no clue why. I knew there was stimulation in the back, but it was literally asking someone to take a sip, gargle it while doing that stimulation. Maybe both ends. I have no clue.
Right.
You just brought it up. I was like, yes, I do remember that.
Yes, I recall that.
Anything else? Gargling, meditation, breath work?
Yeah. So exercise as you are able, right? So whatever your ability, do something. And exercise is what maintains a healthy system, nervous system, respiratory system, cardiovascular. We can list them all off. If you're not able to use your legs, use your arms, use your trunk, use whatever you have available to you, but get movement in and just overall do something, right? That the reason we decline in our health as humans is because I don't think we've appreciated what really it takes to live a longer, healthier life. I'm all about living a healthier life. I don't want to live a longer life if it's not to my standards of what I think would be enjoyable, right? And that's different for everyone. So I don't want to say what mine is. Someone else's might be completely different. If they're not able to climb a mountain when they're 90, that may just be terrible. Whereas I might be comfortable doing something very quiet. But exercise really does help with the vagus nerve. And I've heard you talk about that as well, that it's one of the key things that we have to do. Just keep moving.
Movement, right. We don't do enough. I mean, we're sitting here right now talking.
Right.
But hopefully after this, we both get up and move a little bit. Maybe go outside in nature, right? That's a big one too. Move in nature together. Those are wonderful things, because I think that stimuli, right? I think we sit in this digital world, and I can't make the scientific claim that sitting and watching something digitally will impact your vagus nerve negatively, but I have to assume it probably would. Whereas being in a natural setting, being in nature, which we are part of, and moving within it and stimulating the eyes in different ways, and so many different senses coming at and being passed along through this network, has to be beneficial for it.
And I like it that you said in nature together, because I think both are applicable, right? You can be mindful and go out into nature and just enjoy it, but really, really spend time, allow yourself to sort of get lost, even if you're just looking at one thing. But our lack of connection, we are social beings, and the vagus nerve is actually, the tone of the vagus nerve is 100% impacted by our social nature. And if you look over the last several years where we've all become more isolated, or we're 2D instead of 3D and we can't touch each other, it changes the way we operate. And whatever goes on above the neck affects everything below the neck, and vice versa. So if you start getting sad and borderline depressed, and you only are interacting with yourself and your world is shrinking, then it starts affecting your organs. It starts affecting how you digest food, how you metabolize fat, how you breathe, how resilient your cardiac functionality is. It just affects everything.
It really does. And it's interesting. Something just came into my head as you were speaking there, the image of Avatar, James Cameron's movie, where they would plug in literally where I think the vagal nerve would be to the natural, to the animal, and have that connection. And it's kind of like, I really wonder, I would love to ask James Cameron if that is vagal nerve he was thinking up there.
We'll get him on the call, and we'll get him on your podcast, and you can call Dr. Dre.
I was going to say, we get him and Dre together, answer his question, makes the new beats for Ivana. It'll be a great one.
Perfect. I love it.